What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Punching Up. I hope you had a great No Kings Day. Democracy is still standing, not the East Wing of the White House. I'm sure there's somebody we could sue for that. That has actually been my question, my running question for the last several weeks, ever since Michael Fanone and I had on a guest on Protect and Serve, shameless plug for our new show, which is on Thursdays, that said that we should just sue them into oblivion, that we just need to be able to sue. But like, who can we sue? How can we sue? Can I sue DHS for forcing me to watch fucking Kristi Noem videos in line at the TSA while people are just trying to go on vacation? Like, who can we sue? So tonight, I have a guest, friend of the show, lawyer and comedian Paul Farahvar, who is going to help us answer that. The question, can we sue for this? And so we're going to use two recent cases, Robbie Road Steamer and the Anti-Fascist Frog, to arm ourselves. I shouldn't say arm. They're going to be like, that's violent. Maya May is violent. To give ourselves the knowledge that we need to be able to sue efficiently and often. And then we're also going to have on Katie LaFoon, who went viral begging the city of LA to get LA cops to actually protect the community instead of, kind of attacking people while they're trying to, save our democracy. So we're all in this together. And I'm excited about bringing on my first guest. So, Paul, come on in.
Hi. Thanks for having me, Maya. Big fan.
And I am a big fan as well because you're able to multitask and do both comedy and lawyerly things, and that's a big thing,
Yeah.
I think.
Things is vague because
Yeah.
I don't practice anymore, but I do provide unsolicited legal thoughts, not advice, but thoughts to
Well,
people over my years of experience. So
yeah, and you were like you're nationally touring comedian now, and you were also like your top 40 up and coming comedians at one point, and at the same time top 40 under 40 for
yeah,
litigators at
yeah,
the second time.
that was a long time ago. I'm no longer under 40, but yeah, I was a trial litigator. The last part of my career as a lawyer was federal litigation, doing cases involving anything that went to trial, from trademarks. But majority of the cases I dealt with were lawsuits under Section 1983, which are lawsuits against police officers, cities, municipalities, political figures sometimes. So anytime you had to bring a lawsuit against the municipality, if it involved any federal issues like civil rights and the like, they had to go to federal court. And I was the guy mostly on the defense side defending the cops.
And well, we're going to ask you to redeem yourself now, because we
Right.
want to find out how we can ensure that our rights are protected, that we can sue DHS, that we can sue the cops. And so this is what I'm going to ask you to
Yeah.
do. So everybody in the comments, don't be mad at Paul. He is
Right.
now
I'm same team. It is funny when I post explaining the law to people. I always kind of do it in a way that just the first line in my Instagram is, "This is the issue," and people, without watching it, assume that I'm going to go, defend the actions of the White House, and it's always the other way around. So it is fun because I can always be like, "You didn't watch what I just posted, did you? You just saw the first line and you wanted to be mad," which I understand. There's a lot of reasons to be mad right now, especially with the justice system.
No, especially. And as comedians, like, we've seen comedy be at the forefront of everything that is happening right now, from Jimmy Kimmel to
Yeah.
the protest frogs. And that's one of the cases that we're going to go over tonight. But the first
Yeah.
case I want to go over is Robbie Road Steamer. This
Yeah.
happened what feels like forever ago, but was actually, I think it was October 14th. So, about almost 2 weeks ago. And for those people who haven't seen it, let's just run the clip really quick, and then we're going to talk about Robbie.
Hell yeah, let's today. It's about peace and love in spite of might. If you hate brown people and you are a Nazi, come on, ICE, leave Portland. Oh, here they come. They're not ready for primetime players. Woo! Demolition.
Leave him alone. What are you doing? He's talking? What? He's just talking.
Boo!
So, from a comedic perspective, like there's a lot going on here. So let's unpack it. I'll let you, like, from a comedic perspective, this is seemingly effective.
Yeah, so it's funny because a lot of those people, you'll see podcasters that went to the right because of anti-wokeism, and they were like, oh, censorship and everything. And here you have actual censorship, not the market dictating what they want to hear. And it's crickets from the likes of those people that were the so-called advocates for free speech. And this is a clear example of someone just using his voice, mocking the agents for their activities. If this were, so this is the best way I can describe this to explain why ICE has got a lot more protection than a police officer is if this happened in a situation involving, let's say, a police officer in Chicago, that would be a clear case where Robbie could bring a lawsuit for false detainment, and if he was arrested, false arrest, and then that's a case. It's very easy to show. There's evidence showing that they held him unless the defense has something that says that he touched them or interfered with an arrest. That's a clear case of First Amendment violations being infringed under Section 1983.
Well, and generally to sue, because I looked this up, there's a list of sort of things that people need. And so you've already listed one of them, which is evidence, right? Which is why it's so important for people to film, right? Like they don't want us filming. And part of the reason I feel like they don't want people filming them is because they don't want there to be evidence to refute their side of the story.
Yeah, always film. As the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, has said multiple times, film everything. And there's other cases that are similar where people are filming something and there's other violations happening while they're filming, which we could talk about that in a bit. But as far as this case, what you need for a case obviously is damages, right? What are the damages? In Robbie's case, there aren't a lot of damages. He wasn't hurt. If he was released, let's say 10 minutes later, there's not really a strong case because there's no damages. There's clear liability, right? Again, we're taking the assumption that this was a police officer because it's totally different when we're dealing with ICE. So you need damages. You need something to be wrong, something that harmed you. If this resulted in him getting fired or something, that's a damage. If he had a job and the video wasn't available, but he was somehow his record was affected, that could be a damage.
So it can't be like you hurt my feelings or I feel bad, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an aspect of emotional distress. So an example of that would be is if they detained him for 6 hours, they didn't give him food, or they did things to. If I were to take this case, I would first like to know what happened after. Those are the key things that after he was cuffed. Obviously, if he was shoved or anything while he's in cuffs, that's another layer of tort, I guess, that you would have against them. But again,
whenever I hear tort, I think of cake, and I realize tort is a legal term. Could you explain it really quickly? Because I can't get cake out of my mind now.
It's a lawsuit. So there's criminal and there's civil. When you're dealing with the law, criminal involves penalties under, jail time, things of the nature, and civil is normally money damages or injunctions. So
Okay.
civil right, a tort is a civil case.
Okay.
So I need to back up a little bit, but everything we just talked about was if we're dealing with the Chicago Police Department. ICE is a whole nother layer of protection because they're a federal agency. So in this case, if it was a Chicago Police Department, and those were officers under the Chicago police, hypothetically speaking, you could even sue the Chicago Police Department because that's systematically something's happening. There's all other layers of that.
Now,
At the
is it
federal,
similar across police departments? Because this situation was in Portland, I believe. But do they have similar, like, I
yeah,
don't know what
it's
governs these, because I would like to think that our rights, when it comes to police and law enforcement, are similar across state lines, or
so
no?
if you're bringing a lawsuit at the federal level, it's pretty much all the same. There's different local rules that can change what you can and can't do when you file a lawsuit or what's necessary procedurally to bring a lawsuit. We kind of saw procedural issues with Lindsay Halligan's failure to follow that in the lawsuit against Comey, or in the indictment against Comey. So you do have to be familiar with local rules. Um, but yeah, it's generally the same. If you bring a case in Chicago versus Portland, you might also have some state laws that have also been violated, or city ordinances that you can also bring in that federal case. So generally speaking, it's the same. But again, all of this is dealing with municipalities for the state level. At a federal level, it's a lot different because at the federal level, you have more immunities. State level, you have some immunities, you have qualified immunities and different immunities as to what an officer can and can't do. At the federal level, it's a little higher. To begin with, you can't even sue the federal agencies. You can only sue the individuals. And at that level, you also have there's some protection there, which is kind
So
of crazy.
I can't sue Christy Nome for making me have to look at her face in the TSA line?
Unfortunately, there's not. You can sue her individually, but I don't know what the case would be. That unfortunately not just for being uh, difficult and spreading misinformation. No, you can't. That's not enough right now.
Well, speaking of, because I went to the DOJ website researching tonight's show, and of course, at the top of the DOJ, there's misinformation right there saying Democrats are responsible, Democrats, because of the Democrat-led
Clear,
shutdown.
clear violation of the Hatch Act that nobody is talking about because they flooded the zone with everything that's happening. But yeah, it is crazy. The funny thing with the Robbie video I do want to mention is he said he's going to sue them and then hire a top lawyer. That was a quote in the article, which is not how it works. You need a top lawyer before to get you that money. So my advice to anyone that wants to sue is meet with a top lawyer first. And a lot of these, if you have a good case, these cases, the good news about these cases are that you can be awarded attorney's fees, and the courts are pretty reasonable in that. So, for example, in Robbie's case, again, going back to the state level, if he did sue for false arrest, he was detained for, let's say, 8 hours. He ended up losing his job because whatever, um, and he gets a judgment from a jury. He can then go seek his lawyer's fees, which is where the money's at, for where you feel the hurt at the levels. Um, Punitive damages are where you can go after the individual officers. That's a little harder to do, and that might be something you can do at the ICE level, at the federal level. But right now, you're starting to see cases trickle in. But unfortunately, the case that kind of governed all this was Bevins. It's a federal level, and the court said that you can bring, under that case, you could bring a lawsuit against the individuals at the federal level, FBI agents who violate your civil rights. But since that time, obviously, this new Supreme Court has dwindled it down significantly. So I think you'll see these lawsuits coming in, and I think we're waiting for a bigger case to happen where there's a lot of damages. For example, someone that was arrested falsely and beaten while in cuffs, who's a citizen. I mean, that would be a very good case to just kind of to show people what's happening that are on the fence.
And I'm glad you brought up the more serious cases because we're only going over the inflatable animals that have been attacked because we're
Right.
trying to keep it light on punching up and you give us an opportunity to learn uh, about what's happening and how to fight back without being completely debilitated by all of the insanity and madness. But the lessons that are can be learned from these potential cases can then be applied to these actually very
Right.
serious cases that we're seeing happen left and right.
Well, I think what I was bringing up before, what I was mentioning before, is when you're videotaping, a lot of times people don't see the other violations that are being that are happening by these ICE agents. And I did an Instagram on this recently where the WGN producer Brockman, who was arrested or detained for
Mhm.
allegedly throwing a bottle. I mean, that's a case that is not. She's got a pretty strong case that they're going to be able to go after, and the relief that you have. In addition to Section 1983 is the Federal Tort Act, which says if there's no other remedies against an agent, you bring this act, you bring a lawsuit under the Federal Tort Act, and you can sue them for damages. So it's almost like a regular civil case.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some immunities there,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
in that,
sorry, my daughter's calling, and I have to tell. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, guys. And
oh,
normally, before
hear
every
that.
show, I say, "Mommy's going on a show," just so she knows, because even if it's on Do Not Disturb, she always gets through. Because she's my kid, and I kind of want to bring her in. But I'm
Priorities,
gonna
yeah.
message. I'm messaging her now. Oh, we'll just answer. Hey, sweetie, I'm on air. Do you want to? Yeah, I forgot to tell you. I'll call you. Love you. I love you. Bye. Um, she's in New York, and so I want her to come on so we can talk about all the stuff that's happening in New York. But I
Oh,
don't think she's ready to come on air. But
okay.
but
Oh,
all of the so the WGN. Go ahead.
oh, yeah. So in that case, what I pointed out was when they're getting away. I don't know if you've seen the video. They hit another vehicle as they're getting
Hmm.
away. They said that they were blocking traffic, but they didn't really give them an opportunity to move. They hit a car, and then they speed through a red light, possibly a red light. But the bigger issue is that corner in Chicago is a speed zone uh, for school zone. There's
Oh.
school kids traveling at 8. This happened at 8:30 in the morning. That
Hmm.
school gets out or starts, I should say, at that time. God forbid they hit a child. And they're speeding. It's not an emergency. There's no emergency lights. There's nothing. Those are multiple violations that you see that happen. They hit a car and ran.
So
Those are
this,
the kind of ways that you can that I've been trying to push for people to pursue while we're waiting for the federal issues to happen. These are things that could slow down this nonsense of ridiculousness. Because guess what? Something is going to happen where innocent bystander is going to get injured or killed because of these untrained ICE agents.
yeah, no, it's getting out of hand, and I want to bring in Katie because Katie has been on the front lines of what's happening in Los Angeles. Katie LaFoon, welcome to Punching Up.
Hi guys.
Hi. So Katie, for everybody who doesn't know, Katie went super viral for speaking up at a city council session in Los Angeles, calling people out who they're supposed to be helping to make the laws and policies that protect communities. And we're obviously not seeing that in Los Angeles. We're not seeing that in Chicago as much as we need to, in New York, in Portland. And so, Katie, you well, we have the clip to roll, but do want to give you a chance to talk about because you went to city council, I believe, recently, yesterday, the day before. Can you talk about why?
Yeah, I was back yesterday. I mean, we're there all the time. But yeah, they know us now. Yeah, we went back because Saturday was no Kings, right? And me and a lot of the on the ground activists, we've been in like daily contact with city council, the representatives, really, really concerned. We were very concerned about no Kings. We were very scared. Um, justifiably so, about agitators, but also about how LAPD and the sheriffs would act this time, because the first No Kings was June 14th, and I was there. And it was, I mean, people forget that LA was first. We were first. They came here first. And No Kings was a war zone. I mean, it was like the culmination of a week of stuff. And LAPD, sheriffs, DHS, like everybody was shooting. When I say everybody was shooting, I mean everybody was shooting us. And it was very specifically LAPD and the sheriffs that were attacking protesters. And I can tell you, what people saw on TV was a lie. The protesters were not violent. They did not throw rocks. They did not throw Molotov cocktails. Like, are those images real? Yes. Were those protesters? No. Like, that stuff happened within the first 4 hours of ICE invading LA. We're 4 months in, and we're still not that organized, by the way. Like, we're just not. Like, I wish we were. I mean, we did a protest like a week ago, and we were so spread out that I was like, oh, this doesn't look good. Like, it's just ridiculous that they thought anybody on the ground had anything to do with that. It was so clearly like setting a match, like in some gasoline, to see what would happen to LA. So we were concerned, and honestly, like, we made it through the march. There were no injuries. We were really grateful. And LAPD, they violated the Bain Act. They went ahead, prior restraint, and they shut down the street in front of the MDC, which is where the ICE processing center is here in LA. And it's been a whole thing over the course of the last several months, where people have protested outside there. We try and document, gather evidence of what they are doing in that building. Nobody has tried to get inside that building. No one has tried to do anything to it except document and protest. And LAPD went ahead and shut down the road, which is whatever it is, but people went down to protest after No Kings, and no one crossed the police tape. No one even tried. And then at 7:30, LAPD attacked. Like, people were dancing. I was there. It was very, like, I was at the point where I was like, okay, I feel like I can go. Like, no one's going to get hurt. I usually stay at protests if I feel like something might happen, because I want to be a body there and to, like, help if I can or be a witness. And I was like, oh, God, okay. Everyone was like, we'll take it. All right, progress. And then
And
I don't know what the fuck happened. They just decided, well, we need some bad press and we need to cost this city more money. And they attacked. Like,
so
no, there was no reason. And so I went to city council, because city council had, they had upheld LAPD. There is legally, like, they went after journalists earlier this summer, and there is a judgment in order that forbids them. It forbids them from attacking journalists. It gave broader protections over what a journalist is considered, because LAPD wants it to only be the LA Press Club, and that's it. But we know media is more than that now. And they wanted the right to attack anybody that they wanted. And city council said, no, you have to uphold these protections. And LAPD ignored them. And so I went and I told them, like, the LAPD does not respect city council. They don't respect anyone in the city. They don't care. They are not here to protect us. And they needed to be reminded of that.
So, Paul, how does that change things when it's the cops who are the clear instigators? Does that change how one would approach suing them? Does that give more standing if they can show clearly, hey, we were abiding by the law and they
Right.
clearly weren't?
Right. So in that situation, I don't know. I never saw the video footage of what I saw. Some of the video footage, which clearly there was protesters that were peaceful, and then there were agitators. Um, that's a different
Are you
case,
talking
because
about June or this Saturday?
no. I'm talking about back when the one that you were talking about. Yeah, this time there was the only agitators were, I think,
There were no agitators.
Denver guy who took a fall a couple times, which I've watched multiple times. No, I think in that case it's LA Police Department, right? So you have it's a different thing. You don't have to worry about the federal level immunities, because if they violated rights of individuals, then you can go after them. But again, you're talking more about the press too. So the press is the one that would have standing to go after them for whatever limitations that they were doing. And I think they did, right? I think there was
Well,
they were there was a law that was issued, and then they violated the law, and then they went in to enforce it, and then the court agreed with the press. The
yeah, well, I'm gonna push back on you a little bit,
mm,
because yes, to everything you said, technically, legally, all that's true. One, yes, there were protections in place for the journalists. They upheld those protections. LAPD ignored them. Using less than lethal force and weapons to crowd control and disperse is illegal. It is illegal.
right,
Mhm.
That is not
right.
legal.
And this, I mean, we're speaking about this past weekend, correct? Where
In
there were more
general,
violations.
yes.
In
Like
general,
it
okay.
has never been legal here this summer. It was illegal in June and it is still currently illegal. So this Saturday, very specifically, they were told you cannot discharge less than lethal unless you are in danger, like immediate danger, you are being threatened. They do it anyway. This is where I'm going to push back a little bit.
Oh, they did. I
It's
thought you were talking about. I'm sorry. So you're saying this happened this Saturday?
Yeah, it
There
happened
was.
again. That's my
Oh,
point. Is
okay.
so LAPD, here's my point is this is what we are being told by city council in LA is because I will go there and say LAPD knows we are filming. Sheriff's Department, they know we are filming. They know they are being filmed. They know they are breaking the law. They know it. They know we know it. They know that we are filming them knowing that. They don't care. They know that there's video evidence. They don't care. And why don't they care? Because there's nothing to ever hold them accountable. Yes, maybe they'll go to trial. But let's say we quote unquote win. What does that mean? That means there's a lawsuit and there's a settlement, right? That payout comes directly from us, the taxpayers. It doesn't even come from their budget.
Mhm.
It doesn't come from their budget. Those guys don't lose their jobs. They maybe get a slap on the wrist, whatever. It's like an ego bruise. They don't lose shit. There is nothing to keep them in line because the guy next to them, why would they, when people say, oh, it's just some bad apples, why would the person next to him be like, you're breaking the law, don't do that? He has no reason to because there's nothing that it's like gives them any reason. These
So, from my
lawsuits,
understanding,
their
but from my,
settlements need to come out of their pensions. They need to
but
be losing money. Sorry, I get really mad.
yeah, no, it's rage on. But from my understanding, Paul, one can actually, if it's LAPD, people can sue individual officers, or no?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So if it's a loss, let's just. I don't know. I didn't know what happened this week, but let me just create a hypothetical where a
They
protester is
pointed
sprayed with.
out journalists and people who are not a threat, who are backing up, who are retreating,
Right.
and they shot them and trampled
Okay.
them with horses.
Right. So let's say there's two officers do pepper spray somebody, and they're not the people that were agitators. They were clearly, like you said, backing away. Those are
They're not
lost.
agitators. No.
No, I just said
So
that.
that's yeah. He was saying they're
That's
not
what I said.
agitated.
Oh,
I
okay.
said
I'm sorry.
they are
Sorry,
not
sorry.
the agitators. It's clear that they have a standard of care that they can't.
Yeah.
If they made a clear mistake, let's like two people are standing next to each other, one's an agitator and one's not, and they both are wearing exactly the same thing.
Sure.
There's some leeway there for the officer to make a reasonable mistake. Right. I'm just using that as an example. Give me a second. And then if it's clearly not the same person and they're pepper spraying someone, like for example, there was one where they pepper sprayed someone that was an inflatable doll. They went into the thing. Those are if a police officer is doing that, that's a clear violation, and there
We have
is accountability in the sense that if they are sued, they have to go through a lawsuit, and while they may not personally have to pay the damages, in the case of the inflatable doll one, the inflatable person.
we have that clip actually. Let's roll that so that people can
Yeah.
listen
That's
to
a
what we're
punitive
talking about.
damages.
Now, if we can explain
Yeah, that's a
too
great
that that's
example.
it's not the outside, it's the valve that's being sprayed there. So it's going
Right.
directly into the suit, which go ahead,
Okay.
Paul.
That's a perfect example. So if a police officer did that and it's clearly someone that's not in harm's way. I'm assuming there's no backstory to this guy punching the officer, right? That's a clear violation. That's a Section 1983 violation. Not only would that officer, if he was a police officer and not an ICE agent, there's punitive damages there. So there is accountability because you can go after the officer, his own money, his own family's money, everything that he has, unless he hides it in the Cayman Islands. So that's a clear case of punitive damages. And I've seen that happen where officers uh, clearly violated someone's rights, and then they were sued for punitive damages. They lost everything. In the cases that are not punitive, where they didn't do anything intentionally, but they're reckless, it's more than a slap on the wrist. I understand the argument that they're not paying the settlement or the judgment if it goes to trial. But if it is a case that gets higher attention, I have seen cases, and especially recently, where officers have lost their jobs and lost their pensions. So yeah, it's not the ideal situation where I wouldn't say it's a slap on the wrist because they do have to deal with a civil lawsuit, which takes up to 2 years, sometimes 5. So, but yeah, you're right that they're not personally paying the cost for the damages that they cost.
I don't
Unless
even mean personally. I don't even mean personally, but like again, I've been watching this all summer, and every day I watch LAPD break the law and violate people's rights, First Amendment rights, every single day. And they don't care. And that's the concerning thing to me is like all summer we're documenting there's so many lawsuits. Like LA is going to be bankrupted 20 times over by the lawsuits happening from this summer, and they continue to do it. So that's the thing that concerns me. It's like there's something that is signaling to them that it's gonna be fine.
Well, and it could be the fact that you do go to city council and the people who are responsible for administering this justice in many ways are on their cell phones, as you noted, when the public is actually speaking. And so
Wait,
we're out of time, but I do want people to see that clip. So I'll roll it on the way out is what we'll do because we're at time. But I think you bring up so many valid points. Justice is slow. Violence is quick. And this is a very, very, very violent, I don't want to call it administration. I want to call it a regime. And they are taking advantage of the fact that justice is slow. And so I think what we do need is more people speaking up. And unfortunately, we have to use the levers that we do have, which for now seems to be lawsuits. Paul, is that the lever that we have left?
Yeah, anytime you're videotaping, just know that there's other things that are happening that you might not even know exist. Like the Brockman case is the one I always talk about. That video shows like 3 local level violations that I've actually talked to aldermen. I'm like, why aren't we going after them for this? Or the cops that were pepper sprayed in Chicago too. I mean, these are all things that you should videotape and bring to the attention of your local government. And I can't speak for LA, but I know in Chicago, they're pretty responsive and they're trying to figure out a way to defeat Trump. So
well, I know we have to go, but I'll throw this out there just so Paul, you can keep your eye on it. They are this is in Project 2025. They're rolling this out now. Part of Project 2025 is deputizing all local police as ICE. So that's starting. So
which would then potentially shield them from these lawsuits. So film the police while you can, folks. Make the lawsuits while you can. And just the quick checklist, we need standing. What is it? Standing damages.
Standing damages, a liability, clear liability of a problem.
Yeah.
And a lawyer.
And a good lawyer. You can't sue like Robbie says and then get a good lawyer. The money comes from getting a good lawyer.
I'd love to see a giraffe represent himself.
That actually would make a perfect sense for 2025. That is exactly where we're at as a country. And I just have to laugh about it because otherwise I will lose my freaking mind. So thank you to both for joining. You're welcome back anytime, of course. And everybody, please just take care of yourselves. Watch this clip of Katie handing the city council their asses because it's very enjoyable. And I will see everybody next week.
Hi, my name is Katie Laffoon, and I have general public comment, but I will not let you start my time until I have everybody's attention.
So that's not what you're 1 minute for general public comment. If you'd like, you could adjust the microphone. Feel free. So go ahead.
It's here, but do not start my time until I have everybody's attention. Nope, you restart that. I took off work. You guys work for us, and nobody is paying attention. Hi. You work for us, and we have a comment. We need you to listen. I understand that this is typically like your job is Parks and Rec. That is not what this is right now. We are in a state of emergency. The actual mayor declared that. And we are here asking you to pay attention. You have had a summer break. You know who's not had a summer break? Don't roll your f***ing eyes at me. I see you. You know who's not had a summer break? The protesters, the citizens of LA who are terrified. You know what we're not hearing you talk about? In 2 weeks, school is back in session. 50% of the students in LA do not feel safe going to school. Why aren't you talking about that? Why is no one having a town hall? Seattle, their police chief instructed their police to protect the citizens. Why can't you? Why can't the LAPD be on our side? We want LAPD on our side. I'm not done. Our fight is with ICE. Our fight is not with LAPD. We do not want to be fighting with them. We want them on our side. Can you imagine if LAPD was protecting us, protecting the citizens? You're putting the LAPD in danger. You're putting these people in danger. You're putting us in danger. You're not doing your jobs and you're looking at your phones.
Thank you. Because he's going to come to ring.
My backpack's there. Warnings.
You don't want to get removed.
What is decorum? What is decorum? We're trying to protect you guys. You guys are in danger out there because of this shit. Like, I don't care if you guys remove me. I care about them listening and protecting people, protecting you.
This is what they do. This is how it's done every time.
Then they're all going to be unseated.
All items are general comment figure?
Yes, item number 1, item number 19.
2 minutes for items and 1 minute for general comment.